When the first signal arrived on Earth, no one understood it. It was a soft, musical sound, almost like wind passing through glass. Scientists first thought it was a glitch, maybe interference from a distant satellite, but the sound kept repeating, day after day. It became clear very quickly that this was not noise. It was a message. All around the world, people stopped to listen. Some heard it on news broadcasts. Some found recordings online. Some heard it as small fragments hidden inside radio waves. No matter how they heard it, the message felt the same, gentle, patient, and almost pleading. It took weeks before linguists finally decoded the signal. And what they discovered surprised the entire planet. The message was not a warning. It was not a threat. It was not a declaration of war or victory. It was a request for help. The signal came from a distant world called Aurelia, a place far beyond human reach, only a few decades earlier. But humanity had grown fast. The invention of stable, faster-than-light travel, combined with new energy systems, meant that visiting another star system was no longer impossible. It was difficult, yes, but not beyond human hands. Aurelia's message, once translated, said, "We call to the strong ones. We call to the unbreakable. We call to those who survive where others cannot. We ask for saviors. We ask for rescue." At first, scientists were confused. Why would an alien species send a message like that? Why ask for saviors from across the universe? Why send it to Earth? A world still learning how to work together. But the more information they pulled from the signal, the clearer the picture became. Aurelia was suffering, not from war, not from invasion, not from conflict. It was suffering from its own environment. Something in their planet's ecosystem had shifted. Crops were failing. Weather patterns were changing in unpredictable ways. Their soil was becoming unstable. A gentle species by nature, the Aurelians were not built for harsh environments. They had evolved in comfort, in soft climates with stable resources. They were intelligent and peaceful, but physically delicate. The more humans studied the message, the more they realized something amusing. The Aurelians had sent the signal not to powerful warriors, but to beings capable of living through extreme conditions that humans considered normal. They wanted creatures who could handle temperatures from freezing cold to burning heat, air that wasn't perfectly clean, soil that needed rebuilding, long hours, unpredictable environments, resource management challenges. In short, they wanted humans. The reaction across Earth was mixed. Some laughed at the idea that aliens saw humans as unbreakable. Others felt proud. A few were even shy about it. But many scientists and diplomats felt something different. A strange responsibility. Humanity had always wondered how aliens might see them. Most imagined powerful civilizations looking down on Earth as simple or young. But here was proof of the opposite. Aurelia saw humanity as something rare, resilient, adaptable, almost impossible to defeat by nature alone. A global meeting was called. Leaders from every major country attended. Engineers, environmental experts, linguists, biologists, and diplomats filled the room. Dr. Leon Marquez, one of the top advisors, stood at the front and summarized the situation. "Aurelia asked the universe for saviors," she said, "and they described those saviors as tall, strong, adaptable beings with highly flexible biology and a confusing habit of showing their teeth when they mean no harm." Everyone in the room slowly turned to look at her. She smiled nervously, showing her teeth. "That sounds like humans," she finished. The decision to answer the Aurelian call came surprisingly quickly. Humanity had spent centuries dreaming of alien contact. Now that the moment had arrived, they felt something powerful hope. A team was assembled. Not soldiers, because the Aurelians had not asked for warriors. Not politicians, because the Aurelian crisis was not social or diplomatic. This mission needed specialists who could fix worlds, not fight on them. The team included environmental engineer Rachel Imani, known for restoring dying wetlands, xenobiologist Dr. Kaito Ri, expert in interspecies ecosystems, linguist and cultural mediator Thomas Hale, atmospheric scientist Dr. Naya Persad, terraforming engineer Mateo Ruiz, and many more, all chosen for their skills and adaptability. Each member was told the same thing. You are being sent as helpers, as explorers, as partners, not conquerors, not rulers, and each one agreed. Before departure, humanity sent its own message back to Aurelia, carefully translated into the Aurelian sound language. We hear your call. We come not as monsters. We come to learn, to help, and to understand. We are from Earth. When the reply arrived, the entire mission team gathered to listen. The translation showed a soft pulse of gratitude, but it also revealed something unexpected. We thank you. We will prepare our people. Please forgive our fear. We have heard of your kind. That last sentence created a small wave of confusion. What do they mean, heard of your kind? Mateo asked. Thomas, the linguist, shook his head. I think they mean humans. Maybe they have met other species who described us before. Described us as what? Someone else asked. No one had an answer. As the launch day approached, the team trained together. They practiced communication, emergency procedures, and environmental assessment techniques. They learned how to approach alien cultures with respect. They studied Aurelian biology as best they could from the limited data available. Most importantly, they prepared themselves for how Aurelians might react, because based on the descriptions the Aurelians had sent, descriptions of what they believed their saviors looked like, it seemed they had misunderstood something. They expected beings who stood upright, had 2 strong arms and 2 strong legs, could handle rough terrain, could breathe many air mixtures, could adapt to sudden temperature changes, had expressive faces that looked alarming to them. Humans fit all these descriptions too perfectly. When journalist Wynne Callister interviewed the mission team before departure, she asked, "Do you think the Aurelians will be afraid of you?" Thomas Hale answered carefully, "I think they might be intimidated. But fear fades with understanding. Our job is to show them who we really are," Rachel Imani added with a warm smile. "And who we really are is a species that fixes things. We rebuild. We restore. We survive. That's why they called us." The world watched as the team boarded the starship Horizon Breaker, the most advanced vessel humanity had ever constructed. It hummed with energy, sleek and silver, carrying not weapons but tools, soil analyzers, climate stabilizers, water purification modules, even seeds from Earth's resilient plants. Humanity was not sending an army. Humanity was sending gardeners, scientists, and healers. As the engines powered up, the mission leader, Dr. Naya Persaud, looked at her team and said quietly, "Remember, we're not going to be heroes. We're going to be helpers. The Aurelians may see us as strange or frightening at first, but we will show them kindness. And that will change everything." The ship lifted into the sky, leaving the blue curve of Earth behind. Cameras captured the launch, and billions of people watched with silent anticipation. Humanity had always wondered whether they were alone in the universe. Now they knew the truth. Not only were they not alone, someone out there believed they were strong enough to save a world. The journey to Aurelia would take time. The crew settled into routine. They shared stories. They studied Aurelian culture. They imagined what the planet looked like: soft green fields, sparkling waters, gentle skies, and a species waiting with cautious hope. Thomas looked out at the stars and whispered, "They called for saviors." Rachel, standing beside him, finished the thought, "And Earth sent humans." That's close enough. None of them knew yet that the Aurelians had a different word for humans, a word that meant both fear and awe, a word that meant monsters who can do miracles. But that discovery would come later. For now, the humans traveled onward, toward the world that had called them across the stars. The starship Horizon Breaker slowed as it approached Aurelia. The large blue-green planet filled the windows, glowing softly under 3 small moons. From space, it looked peaceful, almost like a dream. Gentle clouds curled around oceans. Forests shimmered with strange colors: lavender, pale gold, sea green. Even the storm seemed mild, moving slowly and harmlessly. But the mission team knew the truth. Aurelia was in trouble. The ship sent out a friendly greeting signal, announcing peaceful arrival. Moments later, a thin, Musical reply drifted back. Their translator confirmed it. The Aurelians were expecting them and had prepared a landing site. Thomas Hale, the cultural mediator, adjusted his collar and tried to calm his racing heart. "Okay," he murmured. "We are about to meet an alien species for the first time. No pressure." Rachel Imani smiled with gentle amusement. "Relax. We're the helpers, remember? Just be yourself. That's what I'm worried about," Thomas whispered. "Humans seem scary to them." Mateo Ruiz patted his shoulder. "Just don't smile too much. Apparently, our teeth are a little dramatic." Thomas groaned. "Great, I'll just keep my lips glued shut." The team laughed quietly, the tension melting just a bit. Even Dr. Naya Persad, usually calm, felt nerves fluttering in her chest. The ship was landing, and the moment of first contact was seconds away. The landing platform was smooth and shimmering, surrounded by tall, delicate trees with silver-blue leaves. As the ship's ramp lowered, the humans stepped out into soft, warm air that smelled faintly like honey and flowers. And there, waiting at a polite distance, stood the Aurelians. They were smaller than humans, only about chest-high for most of the team. Their skin had a soft glow, shifting gently between pale green and soft blue. Their limbs were slender, almost translucent, with long fingers that moved like flowing water. Large eyes, round and shimmering like pools of light, watched the humans with a mixture of awe and deep nervousness. The Aurelians were beautiful, fragile, almost dreamlike, and to them, the humans must have looked like giants. The moment the humans stepped onto the ground, the Aurelians collectively leaned back. Some trembled. Some covered their eyes. Some emitted tiny noises like chimes struck by wind. "Okay, everyone," Thomas whispered to the team. "Move slowly, hands visible, mouths closed." Mateo nodded. "We are friendly giant space bears. Soft movements only." One of the Aurelians took a hesitant step forward. Their shimmering skin brightened when they spoke, and the translator converted the sound into calm English. "Welcome, beings from Earth. You have come." Dr. Naya stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "Yes, we are honored to be here. We come to help in any way we can." The lead Aurelian, small, trembling slightly, but clearly brave, bowed in return. Their glow warmed from pale blue to soft gold. That color shift, Dr. Kaito Ri guessed quietly, was probably a sign of gratitude. But then something unexpected happened. One of the younger Aurelians at the back peeked out from behind an adult, stared at the humans, and squeaked. They smile with teeth." The Aurelians gasped and stepped back. Thomas covered his face. "I didn't even smile. My mouth wasn't anywhere near smiling." But it was too late. The rumor had begun. A second Aurelian whispered, trembling, "Look at their height. So tall. So solid." A third added, "Their bodies hold heat like molten stone." And a fourth said in shock, "They breathe even in unstable air." "Impossible." The humans exchanged looks of confusion. Rachel leaned toward Thomas. "Did we just terrify them by existing?" Thomas sighed. "Apparently, yes. Humans are naturally spooky." Dr. Naya carefully raised her hands in a peaceful gesture. Her voice stayed soft. "Please do not fear us. We come with kindness." The lead Aurelian took a breath, if the soft pulse of their chest could be called breathing, and stepped closer. "We thank you. We know our fear is unreasonable. We have simply never seen beings like you." He paused, eyes traveling up the human's height. "You are so durable." Mateo whispered to Rachel. Translation: "We look like walking tanks." Rachel gave him a quiet elbow. The humans followed the Aurelians through their settlement. It was beautiful in a gentle, artistic way. Homes were shaped like shells and petals, woven from living plants. Lights glowed softly inside them. Small bridges arched over sparkling streams. Everywhere, vines and flowers grew, shimmering faintly like starlight. But beneath the beauty was a clear problem. The ground was cracking in places. Some plants were pale and weak. Streams ran thinner than they should. Even the air felt slightly out of balance, too warm, too still. As they walked, Aurelians peered out from behind doorways and tree trunks, watching the humans with wide, glowing eyes. Some whispered in their soft wind chime language. Some hid, some stared in amazement. A few waved timidly. One tiny Aurelian child ran up to Rachel, staring at her in pure wonder. Their parent gasped and rushed forward, pulling the child back gently. The child said something musical and excited. The translator spoke. "They are warm like the old stories said." Rachel blinked. "Old stories?" The parent Aurelian bowed apologetically. "We heard tales. Long ago, a traveling species passed through our space. They spoke of a world called Earth. They described beings who could survive storms, cold, heat, sickness, hunger, and strange landscapes. They said humans were unstoppable." Thomas raised an eyebrow. "Unstoppable? That feels like an exaggeration," Dr. Kaito added quietly. "Well, compared to many other species, humans really are unusually adaptable. Our immune systems, our stamina, our ability to adjust to different environments, it's pretty unique." Matteo snorted softly. "Great. To aliens, we're basically weird space cockroaches." Thomas elbowed him. "Stop." The Aurelians continued speaking with gentle honesty. "Our people believed the stories were myths. Creatures who could drink unfiltered water, move stones with their hands, repair broken machines, survive heat and cold without harm. Surely imaginary." The Aurelians looked at the humans again, this time with awe instead of fear. "But you are real." A soft hush passed through the team. For the first time, the humans understood something deeply. Aurelia had not called for warriors. Aurelia had called for creatures of resilience. Humans happened to be that by pure accident of biology and history. The mission team reached the Aurelian Council Hall, a tall structure made of living vines and crystal-like material. Inside, the air smelled like herbs and soft fruit. The council, a group of older Aurelians with calm, shimmering patterns on their skin, gathered to meet them. The lead counselor stepped forward. His glow was dim, showing exhaustion. "We thank you for coming," he said. "Our world is weakening. Our plants do not grow as they once did. Our air changes too quickly. We fear our food sources may disappear within years." Dr. Naya listened with full focus. "We will study everything. We will work with your scientists. Together, we can find solutions. You are not alone." The council exchanged uncertain looks. One whispered, "They speak with such certainty." Another murmured, "Their steps do not falter." The lead counselor finally said, "We do not know how to work with beings so strong. You may find our ways too gentle, too slow." Rachel stepped forward with a kind smile. "Strength does not mean rushing. We will follow your pace." Thomas added, "We are here to learn from you as much as to help. No one is in charge. We work as partners." The council's glow warmed again, this time to a bright, hopeful gold. Perhaps, they realized, these so-called monsters were not frightening. They were just different, and maybe different was exactly what Aurelia needed. As evening fell, the humans settled into temporary homes, built for them slightly larger than Aurelian houses, but still delicate and beautiful. Soft lights glowed around them. Distant trees hummed gently in the wind. The team gathered around a small Aurelian table, sharing their observations. Rachel said, "They're afraid, but they also trust us. That's a fragile balance." Thomas nodded. "We need to move gently. Show them who we really are." "Applause," Matteo stretched. "And what are we? Giant warm-blooded problem solvers with scary smiles?" Everyone laughed, but quietly. Dr. Naya looked around the group, her expression thoughtful. "We walked into their world as strangers, as myths, maybe even as monsters. But if we show kindness, if we show patience, we can become something better than any story." Kaito added, "Helpers." Thomas smiled. Friends, they all agreed. Outside, a few brave Aurelians peeked through the windows, watching the humans with bright curiosity instead of fear. The night air of Aurelia shimmered gently, as if the planet itself was listening. And for the first time since their arrival, the humans felt that maybe, just maybe, Aurelia was beginning to accept its so-called monsters. Morning arrived softly on Aurelia. Gentle light passed through the translucent houses, painting the rooms in shades of peach, gold, and green. The humans woke slowly, listening to strange bird-like songs outside and the soft hum of the living trees. Dr. Naya Persaud stretched and checked her tablet. All right, team. Today we begin real work. Observations are over. We test the planet. Rachel Imani smiled. Time to find out what's hurting this beautiful world. Thomas Hale took a deep breath. And time to show the Aurelians we're not here to break anything. Matteo adjusted his tool belt. Let's show them what humans do best. Fix the stuff that looks unfixable. When the humans stepped outside, a group of Aurelians waited for them. They stood politely in a circle, glowing with soft blue light, nervous but hopeful. Many carried small data crystals, maps, and tiny sampling jars made from plant fibers. The lead Aurelian scientist, Giron, rose his hands respectfully. Good morning, Earth beings. Thomas bowed slightly. Good morning, Giron. You may call us humans, or use our names. Giron hesitated, then nodded. Very well. Thomas. The name sounded strange and musical in his voice. We wish to assist you today. Our areas of weakness are many. His glow dimmed with embarrassment. Rachel stepped forward kindly. That's why we're here. We'll figure things out together. Matteo added with a grin, carefully keeping his teeth hidden. Cooperation is the secret human superpower. I. The Aurelians whispered to each other, impressed by the idea of a superpower. They seemed fascinated by how humans moved. Big steps, confident posture, calm breathing. Everything about humanity felt stable and grounded, something Aurelians were not used to. The first stop was a large field that once produced Aurelia's main food crop. Lura bloom, a tall plant with spiraling petals that changed color with the seasons. But now, the plants were wilted, pale, and weak. The soil beneath them had cracked patterns, like dried clay. Rachel knelt and touched the soil gently. It's too dry, but also too loose. Like it lost something important. Kaito Ri crouched beside her, scanning samples. The microorganisms are dying. The soil has no life left to support the plants. Giron watched with wide eyes. You understand so quickly. We studied this for many seasons. Rachel smiled kindly. Human soil gets sick too. We've seen this before. She remembered deserts that humans had regreened, forests that had been restored, rivers brought back to life. Humanity had made many mistakes in its past, but it had also learned how to heal. Next, they examined the air quality. Dr. Naya held her atmospheric scanner high. Numbers flickered across the screen. This isn't natural pollution, she said. Something is releasing too much heat into the atmosphere. Aurelian scientist Selah bowed her head. Our machines? Perhaps? We fear they have grown old. Naya shook her head. No. Something biological is causing this. Something in the environment changed. The Aurelians exchanged worried glances. Is our world rejecting us? One whispered. Thomas stepped in quickly. No world rejects its children. Something small changed, then grew bigger. We will find it. The Aurelians relaxed a little. The team moved into the forests. Colorful plants glowed faintly in the shade, and small creatures flitted between branches. But many trees were losing leaves too early, and some streams were almost dry. Kaito paused suddenly, kneeling beside a cluster of discarded shells. These belong to the planet's pollinating creatures, the shiverwings. Giron stepped closer. They used to visit these forests every day, but they have vanished. Rachel frowned. They didn't vanish. They moved. Selah blinked. Moved? Why? Matteo gestured at the cracked ground. Because their food moved. Their weather moved. When a home becomes unsafe, animals go elsewhere, Thomas added gently. Like people. Jiran looked shocked. We never considered that. We kept searching for them here, thinking they were gone. But you believe they live still? Kaito nodded. Absolutely. And finding them is the key. Hope glowed through the group of Aurelians like sunrise through water. By midday, the humans had collected enough samples to run detailed tests. They set up a portable lab outside the settlement, its metal walls shining in the gentle light. Aurelians watched the humans work with fascination as machines hummed, lights blinked, and humans adjusted settings with confident hands. A young Aurelian asked Rachel timidly, "Human, why do your hands not shake when using the machines?" Rachel smiled softly. "Because I've used tools like this for many years. And you are not afraid?" "Oh," Rachel shook her head kindly. "No. Mistakes are part of learning." The Aurelian child glowed brightly at this answer. Amazed that giants could be gentle teachers, after hours of testing, Dr. Naya gathered everyone. "I have the results," she announced. "Your planet's soil and air are being affected by a chemical imbalance. Something changed in the ground many seasons ago. Maybe a mineral shift or an underground heat wave. It caused the microorganisms to die off. Without them, soil loses structure, plants weaken, pollinators leave." The Aurelians listened in silence, absorbing every word. Sela finally asked, Can this be fixed?" Naya smiled softly. "Yes, but it will take cooperation." Rachel stepped forward. "We need to restore the microorganisms. That means adding new life to the soil, safe life," Kaito added. "And we must find the shiverwings. If they return, your crops can recover faster." Thomas explained, "We will need your knowledge of local plants, your traditions, and your patience." Mateo grinned. "And we'll bring human stubbornness. That usually helps." The Aurelians looked at each other. Slowly, their glowing colors brightened. We can do this," Jiran whispered, voice trembling with hope. Recovery began the very next day. Humans and Aurelians worked side by side in the fields. Rachel taught them how to mix nutrients back into the soil, using natural materials found on Aurelia. The Aurelians were gentle and precise, while the humans were strong and steady. Together, they moved quickly. Small Aurelian children gathered around Mateo as he tested a new irrigation design. Their eyes glowed with excitement as he explained how water tubes worked. Using simple drawings in the dirt, "You humans fix worlds with lines and circles," one child whispered. Mateo chuckled. "We fix things with teamwork." Meanwhile, Dr. Naya and Kaito worked with the Aurelian scientists to track shiverwing movement patterns. They set harmless monitoring devices around the forests and scanned air particles for traces of the creatures. Sela looked worried as she spoke. "If we find them, will they return?" Kaito nodded confidently. "Yes. When the environment improves, nature always comes back." Thomas spent his day teaching the Aurelians human facial expressions to reduce confusion. He showed them what a friendly smile looked like, what surprise looked like, and what concentration looked like. The Aurelians practiced copying him, creating adorable versions of human expressions. At one point, an Aurelian tried smiling and accidentally made their glow flicker in a funny way. The humans burst into warm laughter. The Aurelian, embarrassed but pleased, mimicked the laugh with a shimmering chime. Slowly, fear faded. Slowly, trust replaced it. Days passed. Progress grew visible. The soil regained color. Plants stood firmer. The air felt cooler and more balanced. Then, one evening, a soft, glittering, filled the sky. Dozens of shiverwings, tiny glowing creatures with delicate wings returned to the fields, fluttering among the blooming plants. Aurelians gasped and cried softly. The humans stood still, watching with quiet pride. "We did it," Jiran whispered. "We all did it." Rachel nodded. Nature always responds when given a chance. Sela turned to the humans, her glow warm and bright. "You truly are the ones from the stories." "Res." Thomas shook his head gently. "Stories exaggerate. We're not perfect. We're not magical. Matteo smiled. We're just humans. Giron looked at them tall, warm, steady, strong, and said softly, then being human must be something extraordinary. Night settled gently. Humans and Aurelians shared a small celebration under sparkling trees. No loud music, no wild dancing, just soft lights, shared food, and quiet gratitude. As the humans sat together, Rachel whispered, "They don't see us as monsters anymore." Thomas shook his head. "No. Now they see us as partners." Naya looked out at the glowing landscape. "Tomorrow we continue. There's more to fix. But for now, this is enough." Time, Kaido added. "Hope is returning." Matteo leaned back, smiling. "And humans helped bring it back. Not bad for a bunch of space giants." The team laughed quietly, and above them, Aurelia glowed gently as if the planet itself was thanking them. The days on Aurelia passed slowly, gently, and productively. The humans continued their work alongside the Aurelians, guiding them through the healing of the planet. Every morning brought new challenges and new surprises. The humans were no longer strangers or intimidating monsters. They had become part of the Aurelians' daily lives. The soil regained its strength, the crops began to flourish, and even the streams that had once run thin and dry now sparkled in the sunlight. The air felt cleaner and fresher than it had in decades. Shimmering shiverwings flew from field to field, pollinating flowers and spreading life wherever they went. Yet, the humans knew their work was not finished. Healing a planet took time. It took patience. And it took more than just science. It took understanding, cooperation, and care. One morning, as the team prepared to inspect a forest grove that had been struggling to recover, the lead Aurelian counselor arrived. His glow, now soft gold instead of pale blue, shone warmly. "You humans," he said slowly, "have done more than we imagined." Thomas Hale stepped forward respectfully. "We are simply helping, counselor. We follow your knowledge, your guidance. Your world has taught us as much as we have taught you." The counselor tilted his head, his large eyes studying the humans. "You are not like the saviors we imagined. You do not dominate. You do not control. You do not demand. And yet, everything thrives in your presence." Mateo Ruiz smirked slightly, hiding his teeth. "I suppose that makes us monsters by accident. Friendly, helpful monsters." The counselor's glow pulsed with soft amusement. "Monsters. Yes. But monsters who mend worlds. That is a new definition of savior." Dr. Naya Persaud nodded. "We do not come to rule or change your way of life. We come to understand and restore. That is what humans do." The humans and Aurelians spent that day in the forest. They rebuilt small bridges over streams, planted resilient plants to prevent erosion, and carefully monitored the returning pollinators. The Aurelians watched in awe at the humans' endurance. Hours passed, yet the humans never slowed. They moved with care, laughed softly, and guided the Aurelians patiently. "You work as if you have endless energy," whispered a young Aurelian scientist, Selah, her glow flickering with wonder. Rachel Imani smiled. "We make mistakes sometimes, yes, but we keep going. That is what it means to help." Selah's eyes widened. "You never stop?" Kaido Ri laughed softly. "We do stop, but we do not give up. That is what makes humans strong." And with that, Selah realized something profound. Strength was not measured in size, or weapons, or power. It was measured in patience, resilience, and care. As days turned into weeks, the humans helped Aurelia recover in more ways than one. They taught techniques for restoring soil, explained how to manage the returning pollinators, and demonstrated simple methods to balance local ecosystems. But perhaps the most important work they did was teaching the Aurelians to trust themselves again. For too long, the Aurelians had doubted their ability to survive without outside help. Their fear had grown with every failed crop and every dry stream. but by observing humans patiently working alongside them, teaching instead of taking control. They began to understand that strength came not from avoiding mistakes, but from working to correct them. One evening, the humans were invited to the council hall. The Aurelians had prepared a ceremony of thanks. The hall glowed with a warm, soft light, and delicate flowers hung from the ceiling. The air smelled faintly of sweet herbs. The council spoke as a group, their voices gentle and harmonious. You came from a distant world. You are taller than us, stronger than us, and different from us. We feared you at first. But now, we see that you are not the monsters we imagined. You are our teachers, our helpers, our friends. Thomas bowed respectfully. We are honored, but we are only humans. We only know how to help, not how to save. The true heroes are the people who tend their own world, you, and all who care for it. The council's glow brightened, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then perhaps the word, savior, was never enough. Perhaps we need a new word. Rachel stepped forward gently. Sometimes there are no words, only actions. And your world has seen our actions. A young Aurelian child floated closer, glowing with curiosity. Then, you are our guardians? Matteo chuckled softly. Guardians? Yes. If that helps. The child's glow intensified with delight. Guardians who do not fight, but heal. The celebration lasted long into Aurelia's gentle night. Humans and Aurelians shared stories of Earth and Aurelia, exchanged songs, and even attempted some laughter together. The humans noticed how the Aurelians' glowing colors reflected emotions, soft golds for happiness, gentle blues for calm, and shimmering greens for curiosity. Watching this, Thomas realized something extraordinary. Humanity's differences were not weaknesses, they were gifts that could inspire hope in other worlds. Dr. Naya spoke quietly to the team as they walked outside after the ceremony. We came here as strangers. They called for saviors. But we arrived as humans. And by being ourselves, we healed more than just the planet. We healed fear. We healed doubt. Rachel nodded. It's a reminder that being strong is not about power. It's about patience, understanding, and care. Kaido smiled. And sometimes, the things that scare others the most are the very things that save them. Matteo grinned. Friendly monsters, indeed. In the following weeks, the humans helped Aurelians establish new practices for monitoring their planet's health. They taught them how to measure soil strength, water levels, and the number of pollinators. They introduced systems that required teamwork, observation, and careful planning. Aurelians learned quickly, their natural intelligence blending with the humans' practical methods. Slowly, they regained confidence in themselves. Their fear of failure was replaced with excitement. Their fear of the unknown was replaced with curiosity. And their fear of monsters had transformed into admiration. Finally, the time came for the humans to return to Earth. The horizon breaker was ready, engines humming softly. The humans had packed their tools, their notes, and a collection of Aurelia's seeds and samples. The council gathered to bid farewell. The lead counselor stepped forward, his glow strong and steady. You came from Earth as strangers. You were taller than us, stranger than us, and frightening at first. But now, you leave as heroes. Not because you fought, but because you healed. You were not the saviors we imagined. You were better. Thomas bowed. We are grateful, and we will carry your story back to Earth. We will tell everyone that the most important strength is care. Rachel added softly, and that every world, no matter how fragile, can thrive when we work together. The counselor's glow pulsed warmly. Then, may the bonds between our worlds never fade. As the humans boarded the horizon breaker, the Aurelians watched quietly. Children waved their tiny hands. Adults shimmered with pride, and the council glowed softly, a sign of deep respect. The ship lifted smoothly, leaving the glowing forests behind. The humans looked out of the windows, seeing Aurelia shining like a jewel in the sky. For a moment, the planet seemed to pulse with gratitude, almost as if it were alive not just in the biological sense, but in spirit. Mateo whispered. "We did it. We actually did it." Kaito nodded. "We healed more than the planet. We healed fear and doubt. That is worth more than anything." Rachel smiled quietly. "We showed them that strength comes in many forms. That being human is enough," Thomas added softly. "And maybe that is what saviors really are. Not those who dominate, but those who nurture, who listen, who help others see their own strength." Naya looked out at the stars, thoughtful. In the vast universe, there are countless worlds in need. And perhaps, what makes humans special is that we can travel to them, not to conquer, but to heal and help. That may be the greatest gift of all. The ship glided into faster-than-light travel, carrying the humans home. They left Aurelia thriving, the crops growing tall, the streams sparkling, and the skies filled with shimmering pollinators. And somewhere deep within the hearts of the Aurelians, a new story began. A story about giants who looked like monsters, but whose hearts were brighter than any light the planet had ever known. For Aurelia, humans were not just visitors. They were teachers. They were guardians. They were friends. And humanity had learned something too. Sometimes, being a savior is not about being what others expect. Sometimes, it is about being yourself. As the stars blurred past the windows of the horizon breaker, the team of humans looked at each other and smiled. They had answered a call across the galaxy. And in doing so, they had discovered something even more important. The greatest power in the universe is kindness, patience, and courage shared with others.